What's up, guys? So welcome to this week's program review. There are 5 topics that I want to talk about. Number 1 is the 10-set minimum rule. Number 2 is the watching videos. Number 3 is the mind-muscle connection. Number 4 is warm-ups. And number 5 is an exclusive rate for you guys to give to friends and family, right? So let's jump to number 1, which is the 10-set minimum rule. This is a rule or a principle designed by James Krieger and Brian Schoenfeld that says that you need at least 10 sets per muscle group per week in order to see some sort of hypertrophy. Now, it's clearly oversimplified, but this is specifically to some of the mostly females that want or made a suggestion that they want more glute work. So let's talk a little bit about glutes. So glutes, you have 3 different muscle groups there. The primary muscle is the gluteus maximus, right? And this is responsible for hip flexion and hip extension. So I went over last week's workout to make sure that we're hitting the 10-set minimum rule when it comes to hypertrophy. So on Monday, this is only specifically talking about Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So Mondays, we did back squats. We did 3 sets there. So let's count that as 3 sets. And then we did goblet high box step downs, right? So this is also working hip extension, hip flexion. So there's another, so that's 6 sets right there for the week, right? So we knock those out. We go to Cossack squats for our finishers. We're up to 9 sets already in one workout. Again, this is not counting Tuesdays or Thursday or Saturday's workout. We jump ahead to Wednesday's workout and we have deadlift, trap bar, straight bar deadlifts. That's also hip flexion, hip extension. And then during the actual med hype, we have GHDs or reverse hypers. So just with those 2 days alone, we already hit the 10-set minimum. So then we go to Friday, again, not counting Tuesdays or Thursdays. We go all the way to Fridays, and in Friday's workout, we're doing safety squat bar, Bulgarian split squats. Right there, we're already at 12 sets that we hit for our glutes. So I am not saying that you shouldn't do more. If you do more work without getting too sore, I recommend doing stuff that causes hip flexion and hip extensions. A great movement that you guys could always add on at the end of the workout is your GHD hip extension. So you get into the GHD, you put the pad at your pelvis or your hips, you fold over and then raise your body up. You can make it a little bit more difficult and you could use a dumbbell, you could do some plates. I would do 3 to 4 sets. Body weight workouts are just as fine. Do an RIR of 1 or 2, meaning you're not taking the reps all the way to failure, but you're very close to failure. Cool? All right, let's talk about the next thing. Next thing is video reviews. So I would love for you guys to come into class prepared. So I am going out of my way to put the video links on each one of the workouts. So if you see safety bar, Bulgarian split squats, you're going to see a link there. Before you come to class, just do me a favor and go through those videos, watch them, so that our coach doesn't really have to get really deep into explanation. You already have an overview of what that move is, and then we could fly through the actual explanation so we get into the warm-up and have more than enough time to do those movements themselves. When we get into warm-ups, I know a lot of you like to come in and talk about your day or your gossip or how the kids or the families. I love that. I love the fact that we build community. However, I would love for you guys to do it while you're on the assault bikes and warming up, so the coach could also condense that warm up just a little bit to get you guys to start working out, right? So once you come in, either go for a run, go for a walk, grab a group of people, jump on the assault bike. You could use the turf if the turf is available and do some dynamic movements. Of course, coach is going to put you through there, but the more warm you could be leading into the warm up, coach could simplify that, condense it, and then get you guys into the workout itself. So mind-muscle connection. This is a topic that has been studied at length, especially in the bodybuilding world, right? So we don't want you just arbitrarily perform these movements. We want you to focus and concentrate on the muscle that's actually doing the lift. So if you're doing GHD reverse hypers, I want you to think about your glutes. You're working your glutes. If you're doing bicep curls, I want you to think, like, focus and imagine that bicep doing that movement. That mind-muscle connection is really going to focus on that muscle and help on hypertrophy. So don't just arbitrarily just go through the movements randomly, singing, dancing, joking around. When you're doing the movement, think about the muscles that are actually performing that exercise. So the final thing that I want to share before we get into this week's WODs is that we have hit 125 members of our Founding Fathers rate. So that means that our rate now goes up to $189 per month for our unlimited package. However, I'm going to send you guys a flyer with a code on it during the month of July. If you're still recruiting people, you still think that some people want to join the program or that are on the fence, let them know that this flyer is good during the month of July and they could get in for $149 a month. So look for the flyer that I'm going to send you with a code on it, and you could forward that to them, and when they go to register, they could use that code. Cool? All right, so let's talk about this week's workouts. All right, for this week's workouts, we're still following the same template. So Monday is push, Tuesday's endurance, Wednesday is pull, Thursday's endurance, Friday is total body, body, Saturday is endurance. And then Saturdays are a lot more fun because we have the whole gym to ourselves, so we could do a lot of fun things, right? When it comes to some of these movements here, I add in the new movements and then I put a video along with it. And then sometimes I put some scale downs to it. So for example, this week you guys have some rollouts or some fallouts. It's a lot of core work and some shoulder, some lat work. So look at the videos and choose the one that you think would best fit your capabilities. Now, for a lot of these body weight movements, like the rollouts themselves, I don't put an RIR because it really doesn't make a lot of sense, especially if you're not using load. However, what I will put is a rep range. So 12 to 15 rep range, that's the range that I want you to work. If still you're doing 15 reps and you don't feel that you're close to failure, you have the liberty to do more. So for example, if you're doing 12 to 15 kneeling rollouts and at 15, you don't feel much stimulus because you're a badass athlete, you could do 16, 17, 18, get closer to that failure if it was just a 15. I don't want you guys to feel limited just because you're a better athlete and you don't feel much stimulus at 15. Use that rep range, right? Finishers are the same. We had some cool stuff coming up for the finishers. And then for our Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, if you see that I put a part 1 and a part 2 or 2 different little workouts in there, please use the rest period in between. Don't finish and just say, okay, I'm going to breeze into the next one. It's not meant to be a full workout. It's meant to be like a HIIT, like a high interval training workout. So I want you to rest in between, even if it's 8 minutes long. Typically, I account for setups, setting up the bar, pulling the equipment out of the way, that type of stuff. But use the 8 minutes. Grab your phone, say, hey, Siri, give me 8 minutes. Give me 8 minutes rest. Turn to your coach, have him set the timer. But use that time accordingly and get some rest, hydrate, and sit down and get ready for the next part of the workout. Cool? If you have any questions, you guys know where to reach me, and I'll see you at the gym.